Okay, we're gonna get into some more of this fun that is called the Mass Effect, space magic. How, dear God, not to do your ending kerfuffle. Um, let's see. Let's put it this way. I'm looking. I guess I should screen cap this because it does make a good point as far as like this particular Twitter feedback. Um, Even in the ending, everyone got because it was the best ending was actually bad because what if some people would rather get destroyed by Robo Cthulhu than have dumb cyber lines on their skin? Really, it's morally ambiguous. LOL. It pretty much just had three different flavors of shit and shit byproducts. Even even some people will say probably destroy is the best option out of all of them. I honestly pick it just because it's just like with the one. Though technically, I completed Mass Effect 3's ending twice. Once with the original, where it just cuts to the three different hued colors of death, and then the second one with the extended cut with more context to this row of shit that's coming at the player. Ah. But yes, if you're even gonna have space magic, like Uplift Protocol has for its setting, you have to build in things from the onset that's like, here's MacGuffin 1 through 3 that's going to help you defeat the evil space Cthulhus. Yeah, you just can't pull it like a big ass pull like with Star Kid at the end. Because I was looking at it, it's like, why should Shepard even feel a connection to this little boy? He was in the beginning part of it, and Shepard kept having crazy dreams about this kid, but it would have made more sense just to cut that kid out entirely and just have the dreams where Shepard's reflecting on like whatever their past choices were. Some people bring up the fact that the Rachni did not factor in at all, even though, not gonna lie, like something like the Rachni, especially if you saved them in the first one, could have been a very big asset to use in 3 to basically help you kick the Reapers out of the galaxy. Or, completely. But of course I didn't do that. Trust me. Everything I do with Uplift Protocol is going to build towards an ending where, yes, pretty much all these forces are going to have to hold off Unity's forces while Eliza and Dexter pretty much have to do their thing. I've even already put in foreshadowing where Thomas and Gino see Rune come by, and they're seeing a little bit of what that final battle might entail. And it showcases a lot of the defenders going into the breach, and again, it's just basically everybody built up to work together to defeat this foe. Will I have literally everything on screen? No, I won't have to, because I'm basically rolling out the pieces as I go. You'll get little hints here and there of like, oh, this is building up to that. Plant all the seeds and watch everything grow. But Mass Effect didn't have that to stand on when it came to the story. And the more I see from this thing that Smud's referencing, they really didn't have that at all. They should have legitimately plotted out, like, how are we we posed the question of the Reapers are coming, so what do we do to defeat them? If some other cycles didn't succeed, then maybe Shepard should have been on track of finding caches of stuff. What Horace is doing to see what other cycles did to either waylay the enemy or survive it. Like little hints to where it's like, what are they waiting for? Well, in this case, they got brief glimpses of Eliza and Dexter, but not like clear, like crystal clear. They just know that they're coming. So a lot of the previous cycles went dormant. And it's not always previous cycles of like different races. Sometimes it's previous cycles of old empires. And I think they honestly squandered stuff with Javik as well. This all comes from the fact that they didn't plot everything out. At least the big main strokes. And then when it comes to side missions, they could have decided which one will properly carry over to the last game and actually make a legitimate impact on it. Because that's what happened with these games. Majority of those choices did not even matter, did not even make an overall impact other than to raise your readiness score by like 50, 60 points in some ways. It just showcases that, kind of like that Far Side comic panel where the cow's looking at the different choices it has, but all funnels to the same disastrous end. That's Mass Effect. And I'll never get my lovely little rose glasses back for it. It's just not going to happen whatsoever. It can't. You can also thank Bendis for that too. Because that's the kick I got for video games. Mass Effect basically tore off my rose-colored glasses towards video games. And Bendis did the same thing for comics. And Woke Claptrack did the same thing for me in books and, science fiction. So that's why I'm having to make my own shit. That's just all there is to it. If I don't see what I want, I'm going to have to make it. Oh, yeah. And they also did the whole add-on of like any sufficiently advanced technology could basically be equated to magic. Yeah, this can be true. But you can also make it fun. You just have to build in the seeds of how you're going to go about resolving your entire story. Yeah. But then again, back when they made Mass Effect 1 and Dragon Age Origins, that was pretty much the last hurrah of the majority of original Bioware, as I like to see it. Because once that EA turnover happened, that's when it became like, oh, we gotta turn out, it won't necessarily be Mass Effect anymore. It will become even more corporatized, which is exactly what happened. There's really no way you can pull people away from certain things. You can bring the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And that's the same thing for people who are constantly apologizing for getting table scraps from these companies. Don't go for the table scraps. Find things that are genuinely entertaining to you. And don't automatically dismiss the people that are naysayers to certain IPs. There's a reason for it, and it's definitely not just like, oh, they're only a Xism against this. It's like, no. Most of the time, the biggest detractors for a lot of different franchises, they used to be the rose-colored glass, basically eat up everything of that franchise. Pretty much what you call like the super fan, the thing that keeps most stuff going because they'll buy everything sight unseen. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not in that category anymore. In fact, if there's anything I will get with games, I usually wait for like, is it dirt cheap? Because unless it's something I know I'll really enjoy from the onset, which is a whole lot of things nowadays don't really catch my eye, like immediately. Some things I might pick up just because my brother wants to play something. Maybe it's like some co-op thing. But usually I won't get it from the outset. It's like, sorry bro, I do love you and all, but there's certain things I'll just wait for the $5 or the $10 and under bargain bin for. That's just how it is. Because majority games, in my opinion nowadays, aren't worth the $60 price tag. To me, that's $60 I could use on buying more pulp rev people and helping to get more fun stories out there. I guess the big teal deer of this whole thing is just try to plot out your whole story in advance in terms of like the big sweeping parts. Like, this is where I want these things to start out as. Here's a couple of things that happen in the middle. And what kind of themes do you overall want to tie into the ending? and you know, the proper foreshadowing to where it's like, okay, it won't come out and hit the reader over the head of like, what the heck just happened here? That's all you really need. And yes, this one other person saying, more and more convinced that Mass Effect 4 will just hard press that shit didn't matter button on ME3, and honestly, that's probably what they need to do. For this Mass Effect 4 thing, I'm mainly going to look at like people's videos about it, probably just to see what kind of asshole that they'll have to get out the gate just to make 4 happen. Because again, the way it ends in 3, it's like, oh yes, my sweet, and the shepherd crawled out of the rubble, and Bioware sniffed more of its own farts. But this isn't the Bioware you remember, my sweet. No, this is the Bioware that cashes in on your nostalgia. Ugh. In fact, looking at more of this thread, I think the reason why they are doing Mass Effect 4 is because they're hoping, like what this one guy's going to do. He's saying, I hate the ME3 ending, but I always gave Bioware the benefit of the doubt that EA wanted a really open ending for sequels. If ME4 really does come out and does a massive bitch slap to that ending, maybe even bringing Shepard back, I'd probably play the remastered collection. Don't give them a bone. Because in even the most Deus Ex Machina way, I can't see how they'll get Mass Effect 4 to work unless they completely retcon the ending of, or endings, but it's really just a ending of shit and shit byproducts of ME3. And like I said in the other video, yeah, some people are like, oh, it's all about the journey. That's not good enough for me. I want stuff to stick the landing. Because out of storytelling, you can have all sorts of interesting stuff happen in the middle. But if you don't get a beginning to hook people and an ending to satisfy them, the rest of it's just going to become like, well, I suppose the middle was pleasant enough, but the ending doesn't make me want to reread all that knowing what happens to everyone. You know, so that's all I can really think of. It's just you can't really, drag people off the dead IP plantation. You can try to shine the light, but it's up to them to move on from it. See you later, everybody.